Have you had this impulsive thought about quitting your job and finally doing your own thing? Do you want to start a business, but you just keep thinking that you don't have enough time or money? I hear this all the time, and that's what I want to talk about today. When it comes to starting a business, the biggest excuse I hear people say is that they don't do it because they don't have any money. And I get it. How can someone possibly start a business without money, right? Well, the reason why I'm calling it an excuse is because that's exactly what it is. It's an excuse. Plenty of successful businesses were born out of little to no startup capital. Actually, platforms like LinkedIn Learning, Shopify, Shutterstock, and Craigslist are just a few examples of businesses that started with little to no money. So, all you really need is some help. And that's what this episode is here for today, to help you get started. And so, on today's episode, I want to discuss the mindset, the tools, and the tips that make this possible. I want to share with you guys some of the things I did to start my business with no money and even better, profit from it. I'm your host, Alexandra Gonzalez-Ganoza, and this is where your financial freedom begins. It doesn't matter if you're looking to start a business to run full time or if you just want to develop a side hustle that you can do after hours. I talked to so many friends that want to start a side hustle. So there's good news. At Rich Dad, we developed a plan that'll help you build a business without any money, and it'll work no matter how limited your budget might be. Today's episode will cover the important steps needed to understand what product to sell, how to market that product, grow your team, and scale your business. After this, there's no excuses. If you're not familiar with Rich Dad's BI triangle, it contains the 8 integrities every entrepreneur needs to be successful. The triangle's frame is your team, leadership, and the base is your mission. Inside the triangle, you have product, legal, systems, communications, and cash flow. As a whole, the BI triangle represents a strong system of systems. It's supported with a team it's supported by a team with a leader, all working towards a common mission. As you guys can see, the product is probably the smallest part of the pyramid. Most people think the product is the most important thing to be a successful business, right? But really, it's the last thing you need. If you don't have the other integrities, it won't matter how good your product is, you're going to fail. At the foundation of the BI triangle, we see the most important part of a business, the mission. A business without a mission is like a person without a soul. Have you guys ever talked to someone that lacks enthusiasm for their life, or they don't have any goals or passion to fulfill? Well, you don't really feel attracted or drawn to talk to them, right? Like you're not intrigued to learn about their habits or goals because they themselves don't have that energy. The same goes for a business. If you start a business without a mission, you'll fail when the going gets tough, and you'll bail on it too. And you won't be able to attract clients to begin with because people are attracted to passion, to the energy of people and things. The most successful entrepreneurs start a business because they want to make a difference in the world. It's honestly a really selfless act to build a business because you're thinking about serving other people, and starting a business without money makes staying at it even harder. You'll need to know your why when it comes to starting a business because your why attracts the right people. Your why keeps you motivated and disciplined, and it's what gives you direction. It's your compass or your North Star. You need to establish your mission. Starting a business can't only be about making money because there's honestly plenty of joyless ways to make money. I mean, if you really want to do that, you can just apply for a remote job. There's so many high paying jobs lately that you can just do that if that's the case. Your why needs to be something that keeps pushing you until your business becomes successful. One of the key integrities of the BI triangle is cash flow. Until your business provides enough cash flow to live, which might take months, if not years, having a steady source of income is not only going to boost your self-confidence, but also inspire you to accomplish greater things. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, saving money is recommended so you can invest later. Robert and Kim did this in the beginning, in the early days of starting the Rich Dad Company. They practiced the philosophy of pay yourself first, which we've also covered in the past and in previous episodes. And it's something I practice in my own life and my business. So now, for all the employees listening to this episode, don't quit. Don't quit your job just yet. I get it. I understand the desire to be your own boss, especially in today's society and the gig economy. And I also understand the desperation of not wanting to be micromanaged or to build someone else's dream. But think twice before you make any major decisions. Only leave your job once you've made enough savings and then use a small portion to get your own venture off the ground. When you're deciding what your business is going to be, do some research. Thankfully, now we have the internet, which makes this so much easier. Some really simple searches can give you a good idea of the originality of your idea in just a couple of hours. Or also, there's a lot of mentors that you could look at in your space and that you could follow into their footsteps. Like so many people now make a vlog out of what they do for a living. So just keep on researching, and the more you research, it can help you find ways to create a differentiation. Maybe that's finding a cheaper distributor or reading reviews of competing products or services to see ideas for improving. At the end of the day, if you have negative answers to the questions I just mentioned, then it might be better to reevaluate and reconsider your product or service relative to your mission. For example, my company, Triple G, right? It develops content and strategies for companies in the financial education and the personal development space. Now, there's a lot of content creators and social media strategists out there, but my unfair advantage is how passionate and well versed I am in this niche of financial education and personal development. I've been in the space for a really long time, and it makes me stand out because I'm so mission driven and focused on how I can impact lives through my clients' content. That motivation helps me create high performing content for my clients. They get the results, and I get to truly see the change this has on our target market, on people like you. Hearing your testimonies is honestly what keeps me motivated. And I truly understand this space, right? Because I'm constantly surrounded by it for my own personal growth, and I constantly studying it. And the more I study their platforms, the more I learn about investing, emotional intelligence, building a business, personal development, everything. And I love it. I'm good at it, but it's really because I want to reach a large impact so I can impact their lives through this education. That's my why and my wow factor. I love doing what I do. I feel like I'm making a difference, and my clients can tell. My clients love that I'm dedicated to people just in their circle and their niche. So now that we've covered finding your why, let's dive into the steps you need to take to start your business with no money. I really want you guys to reach a new level of knowing yourselves after the show. Throughout this episode, I want to ask you guys, or you can ask yourselves, some really crucial questions. And these are really going to make you do some soul searching. These are really fundamental, not just for starting your own business, but to also define what kind of person you want to be. Because entrepreneurship starts with our being. I don't know if you guys have heard of the be, do, have principle, but this is exactly what it is. Who must you be and what must you do to have what you want in this life? Okay, so first, let's start off with answering this question. Do you have what it takes? I know we hear this all the time, but you need to be honest with yourself. The truth is that not everyone has what it takes to be a successful business owner. It requires a high amount of passion, dedication, and resilience. And so, to help you guys understand more in depth, if you actually have what it takes, I'm going to link a blog in the description with a list of the characteristics that successful entrepreneurs possess. Go through the list and see if you have those qualities. But for now, if you still feel like you're apt for becoming an entrepreneur, then this show is right for you. Congratulations. And now we can move on to step 2. Ask yourself why you want to start a business. Of course, to be considered a successful entrepreneur, you need to make money, right? But that can't be your reason. It can't be your why. Honestly, your why lies within your spirit. It's what brings you joy to your life. At the base of the triangle that we showed you guys earlier, that's going to be your mission, right? Your mission is your why. It's what holds everything together. It's what holds the entire triangle together. And it's the reason you wake up in the morning. It's the strength that pushes you through your personal and business obstacles. And it's what attracts the right kind of people to your team. It's what makes people want to work with you to begin with. Remember, we talked about people that we've met that might be soulless or being soulless, right? Well, you don't want to be that person and you don't want that energy for your business. Your mission needs to be crystal clear to you and everyone around you. Now ask yourself, what type of business do you want to own? Entrepreneurship used to be a lot harder. For example, back in the 1980s when Robert began his journey into entrepreneurship, or even years later when my parents started their business, it required a lot of startup capital to get a business off the ground. I mean, a product could fail before it even hit the market. So the risk was a lot bigger. I mean, I really do admire the entrepreneurs back then because the risk was huge. It was massive. But now we have the internet and we can find vendors within seconds, consumers and results. I see people getting businesses running within literally a day. But the question is, what kind of business do you want to build? Personally, one of my businesses includes a lot of physical labor, but I also have a business that's all virtual. So I'm speaking from experience here on both sides. And then I also have a product versus company versus service type business as well. So they both have pros and cons. But growing my virtual business has been a lot easier because I can handle things from anywhere and everywhere. My services, my clients, my employees, they're all virtual. It's all online. And once you understand why you want to start a business, your mission, right? The most important thing you can do is to determine what kind of business you want to own. Like, what kind of life do you want to design, right? As we talked about earlier, the BI triangle is about building and investing in systems, not necessarily a product. If you have the best product but no systems, you're going to fail no matter what. So, different types of businesses require different types of systems, unique teams, and different approaches to leadership. I honestly learned this the hard way, and I'll be talking about that today as well. So, even though the internet changed how businesses start, there's still two main types of businesses: there's products and there's services. A product business sells a good of some kind that can technically be sold without your own time, right? For instance, Nordstrom, they sell clothes, or even like my cheese and charcuterie board business that I've talked about. It's a product I can sell to others. A service business provides a service of some kind that generally means selling time. For instance, my marketing business sells social media strategies and consulting to others, but it requires my time to create the strategy to talk to the clients, right? Or maybe like someone who comes to wash your car, or a business coach that's selling consulting, right? Eventually, some of these businesses evolve into a combination of both products and services, which is actually what I did with my marketing business. At the Rich Dad Company, the mission is to help elevate the financial well being of humanity. It's a product company selling education products, and then they also provide services like coaching. So, in structuring both my businesses, I experienced a huge learning curve. I'll never forget when Kim and I had a phone call once because she was mentoring me, and she was like, "What are you going to do so you're not the face of your marketing company 24/7, right? So you're not the one, like, if you're not there, there's no money being made, right?" Because I was honestly running out of hours. I was working full time. I was an employee of my own company, basically a slave at that point. I had no time for lunch breaks. I wasn't being a good friend, a good, I don't know, daughter. And so this really made me, and it forced me to think of a way to leverage my time and turn my marketing services into products that I could outsource and then replicate, which meant less of my time, less of me being at the forefront of everything. And so along the way, I realized it was a lot easier to create a system to deliver social media services and train my VAs based off of my research and strategy, and deliver a package or product virtually than it was to find someone talented enough to duplicate the artistic way to put together a cheese and charcuterie board and then deliver it in person and physically do the labor, physically do the delivery. I mean, I love that business, but it is a hard one to structure. And another thing to think about is also, I mean, inventory. I had to make future projections of orders so our inventory wouldn't spoil, it wouldn't go bad, which I also learned that the hard way. And here you can see those boards. So it's hard to find someone to train to do this artistically and in that, order. And so I love my board business. It's my creative outlet, but managing it is so much harder. Both businesses are great, but the systems for one are far easier to create and duplicate than the other. One allows me to manage my time and schedule my own day in a more flexible way while still allowing me to travel. Use my learning curve to determine what kind of business you want. How physically involved do you want to be? Does your service have the potential to turn into a product? Can you duplicate systems? What would the training process for an employee be like? Think of all these things so you can envision what the success of your business would look like. Another thing to think about, or another thing that you need to do, is do your market research. Once you know what type of product or service you want to create, you need to determine whether or not there's a market for it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is creating a product or service that no one wants. So, in order to avoid that, first figure out if your business idea is unlike anything else on the market, or is it similar to the other products and services that already exist? Let's say your business idea already exists, right? How can you make it better? How can you make it cheaper? And can you market it to maybe a different clientele? For example, my cheese and charcuterie board business, I started selling it to private jets instead of going for the massive events like everybody else was. And same for social media. I just started aiming for clients in the financial education and personal development space. I basically decided to market to different clients, solve their problems, add value, and offer competitive pricing. And another thing to think about is, do you actually think you can pursue this for the long haul? Because you're not thinking about yourself now. Like, you have clients to keep up with, you have a relationship to maintain, you have a contract to execute, and you have a reputation to uphold. Because no matter what you do, like let's say you start in the charcuterie board business, you don't want to then fail people and then word gets around, even in like the financial education business, it's a small world, people talk. So always make sure that you can actually execute what you promise. And then number 5, you need to do a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is a vital technique that can help you identify the strengths and weaknesses of your business idea. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths would be what you and your business do really well, right? And then weaknesses would be what you and your business need improvement in. Opportunities are areas in the market that you can exploit for growth and achieving your mission. And then threats would be things like areas in the market or in your business that are a threat to growth and achieving your mission. If you run a proper SWOT analysis, it'll give you an honest 360-degree view of your business and where you're best suited for success and where you're not. Knowing where you can't succeed is just as valuable as knowing where you can. So, for instance, if you're starting a business without money, a weakness might be the inability to invest in advertising. It would do no good to try and compete with other brands on the same ad platforms with a way bigger budget. But a strength could be that you're moving faster and you're going to be willing to take more risks. So maybe, I don't know, a guerrilla marketing campaign would be a good opportunity for you. Number 6, become an industry expert. Once you have picked your market and have an idea in mind, you need to start placing yourself in the market as an industry leader and position yourself as an SME, a subject matter expert. The steps we talked about before should have made this really clear to you, and should have made like the needs of the people in your market also really crystal clear to you. There's another tip for this that helped me a ton, which is you can just go on Amazon reviews or for the products you're looking at, or let's say on Yelp, and read through them to see your market's opinion on it. what's working, what's lacking, the flaws, all of it. Even stuff like Upwork or Fiverr and things like that, for if you're thinking about an online business, that'll help you read the reviews and like constant complaints of that clientele, or what they do love from working with certain types of people. So use this to see what you can improve, find something you can solve, and make it known. The best businesses are the ones that go viral by word of mouth. And before starting my business, I actually joined a bunch of forums, Facebook groups, and online communities to see how these businesses were marketing themselves and what their customers had to say about them. I literally used all my future clients' pain points and my competitors' weaknesses to develop my wow factor and become an SME in the space. That's how I got my clients. That's how I did my marketing. That's how I geared my packages and my products to make sure I was solving a problem. And there's a ton of forums like Reddit and Facebook groups for basically any topic you want. Join them, scroll through them, study them, and look for the solutions to people's problems. And so by now, you should probably already have a solid understanding of your industry and, more importantly, your own voice within it. Now it's time to let your voice be heard. So, number 7 would be own some digital real estate. Two of the BI triangle integrities are communication and systems. It doesn't matter if you want to sell physical or digital products or offer one on one coaching. Eventually, you're going to need somewhere for people to learn about what you offer. You're going to need a system to communicate about your business to the world, where people can find you, learn about your product or service, leave a review, and contact you. In other words, you're going to need a website. And having a website will not only put you in the front of thousands of potential customers and investors, but it's also going to attract the opinions of others. This way, you'll be able to gauge the potential of your business idea. And honestly, I know building a website can sound tedious, but it's a lot easier. And honestly, if you just put the effort up front, you'll be saving a lot of time in the future because you won't be taking unnecessary calls. People will automatically know what you're about. If they go to your website and they see that it doesn't align with what they're looking for, then they won't even bother you. And if they do, then they'll send you an email. So it's a great way to filter out some things also and cut your time in half. And so here's a few steps to get you started with your online presence. First, you're going to choose a website platform, and this can be something like Square, even Google offers it. And so for beginners and people who don't consider themselves tech savvy like me, there's several free platforms or free trials that are available. And for more advanced websites and things that have more upgraded feature, there's platforms with low cost monthly plans that you can look into also. And now, once you have your platform, you're going to start to create content. One of my favorite parts. Once your site is ready, put some valuable free content online that shows signs that you're an authority in your niche. Mimic people in your space, put some simple text and attractive images together, create some reels. This is enough to get the ball rolling. Just look at other competitors in the space and see what they're pushing out, and basically create your own template and push it out there. But honestly, attracting customers is not going to be enough. You need to learn how to keep them engaged and coming back for more. And there's different ways to do this, either through something like blogs, newsletters, weekly videos. I mean, there's tons of ways to convert your content, right? This is how you're going to nurture your prospects and warm them up so they eventually become your clients. Of course, each industry is unique, so that'll determine what kind of lead generation content you put out there. The market research we talked about in step 5 is what really prepares you for this. Your content should always add value and solve the problems you identified in your market. And 3, give people something to talk about. All this market research, content creation, and feedback gives you the knowledge you need to provide a solution to your market's problem. It's your marketing, and it's ultimately what creates demand for your business and allows you to know if you're ready to launch your product. Whether people look for entertainment or education online, giving the audience what they want is what also helps you become viral. Just look at how many small businesses have become successful over TikTok videos because they found a way to provide a solution to truly engage with their audience, they make their audience, feel identified with them, and they catch people's attention. So take all the knowledge you've required by doing your product and market research, reading through the feedback given to you or to others in the space, and then develop something your visitors will undeniably want in exchange for their email. This is called a lead capture. You use them to build your community and send them offers for when they're ready to buy. This is really important because a lot of people would just put out content but won't give their users a CTA, a call to action. And that's truly the way you build an audience, you build a community, you warm them up, and they'll eventually buy from you, right? And another tip is that I can give you is seek and they will find you, right? You could have the best product or service in the world, the most easy to use website ever made with the most intriguing lead capture available. But if no one knows about it, no one's going to give you their email in exchange for it. People will discover your business online either through searching for the type of product or service you offer, which is where SEO comes into play, right? Or through paid advertising, which honestly I recommend having an expert by your side assisting you with this. But those are some different ways to get people's attention, right? Another way to succeed with your online presence, which is my favorite, it's what my business is about, and it's what I think is the most effective in today's world, and not being biased. But I think that's through organic social media. So this would be through your viral TikTok videos, right? Your educational Instagram posts or carousel posts on Facebook, and your consistent YouTube videos, right? Which is honestly YouTube. If you haven't explored it, I think it's where I see the most potential because you can also repurpose a ton from just one long format video, right? You can turn it into a blog, you can turn it into a million little clips. I mean, the possibilities are endless with that. But honestly, here in this space, consistency is key. And if you do it right, it truly does work. I've seen the results. And honestly, people have lost some trust in ads. Like, it kind of like scares people off because they don't want to know that there's like paid media behind what they're about to consume or buy. People now trust the algorithm. They want to see your brand organically because that means they're seeing it because the algorithm has fed it to them based off of their engagement on the platform. Maybe their friends are watching it, but it truly means that if they're seeing it organically, it's because they're meant to see it, as opposed to like paid media where it's being like force fed into your face, right? And then another really important thing is you need to send regular emails. Once you have the email addresses from your lead capture, from all that viral content you've been pushing out, now you need to build your list and you need to stay in contact with them. And don't be scammy about it. Don't annoy people with daily emails. Make sure you're adding value with everything you do. You don't want to be that person in the space that just feels like you're forcing people to sign up for something. And so far, we've talked about the importance of mission and some of the base systems you'll need to get into place in order to get your business up and running with little to basically no money. Most of these things you can accomplish within a week. I've seen people do it before. I've had to launch things pretty quickly myself, so I know it's possible. I'm not exaggerating. And so honestly, just challenge yourself to start them up today so that you're ready to take action for next week's episode, which gives you literally the exact time frame you need. And that's my sneak peek to what's coming up next, which is part 2 of this plan. I'm going to talk about how to establish your product. We're going to talk about the market and how to grow your business. And we're even going to talk about raising capital once you get to that point, right? And I know as entrepreneurs, some of us can be quick starts and aren't the best at following through. So share your goals with someone because I know that this helps me, right? This is my strategy. I always share my goals with someone. I give them my deadline and I give myself a deadline. I write it down on my calendar, everywhere where I need, Post-it notes, everything. And then I also want you to comment on this episode what you'll be accomplishing after watching this so we can hold you accountable. And then next week, we're going to check in to see if you actually accomplished it. But guys, don't lose momentum. I'll see you next week so we can finish building your business.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.